African-American coaches being hired this offseason, joining you in the league, and specifically in my area, Ben Johnson, if you had a chance to talk with him a little bit.
Yeah, it's been great to see guys that look like me get an opportunity to become head coaches in one of the best conferences, if not the best conference in college basketball. It was also fun to see Coach Woodson, who left the NBA like myself, to go back to his alma mater and coach at Indiana University. If someone had told me to bet on he would do something like that, not saying that I know him personally like that, but I would have been totally surprised because I always looked at Coach Mike Woodson as one of the premier top-level head coaches in the NBA basketball. That's how good he is. Then, for a guy like Ben Johnson, same thing. To be able to go back to his alma mater and coach, how inspiring and awesome was that? He and I had a chance to talk. Gave him a call just to congratulate him, and then let him know that if he needed me for anything, that I'm always available. Not saying I have all the answers, but we can definitely bounce off some stories, ideas, etc. We had an opportunity to talk in person, on the phone. I love his energy. Obviously, the school hiring the man, I saw something special in him, and that's why I see it myself when I had a chance to speak with him. Coach Shrewsbury, Ben with Butler, Brad Stevens. Can I say more? And then from there, Coach Painter, who's had so much success at Purdue, one of the premier top level, not just top conference coach here in the Big Ten, but just overall, just one of the best coaches in college basketball. We know the success he's had. So with those coaches getting an opportunity, it's beautiful to see. There are going to be many coaches in the future with all the hard work and effort that guys are putting in behind the scenes that we haven't had a chance to witness, that other coaches with the turnover of staffs are seeing. And head coach I'm speaking of. It's great. It's great for college basketball.
Juwan, you obviously know what the NBA is on inside. What does it need to do to be able to make the transition to being a successful pro? And can those things help you guys as a team this year becoming competitive?
Hunter will continue to do what I knew when I first recruited him, is continue to work to have that growth mindset on preparing himself to compete night in and night out. His love for the game, the level of intelligence that he has displayed in practice, in game-like situations. I wasn't surprised that he had early success as a freshman. I watched him closely in high school and how he was able to make plays out of being doubled in a post and make the right pass on time, on target. Seeing an open man and not trying to do more, but just wanting to make a winning play. For him to have so much success in high school and winning, that right there spoke volumes to me, because it also put a thought in my head that he's been coached, and he's been coached the right way. How that's going to translate and transition into the NBA, I'm not here to talk about the NBA right now, because we hadn't gotten that far. He has his sophomore year that he's looking forward to, and with that, we're looking forward to a healthy season. That starts with that first, good health, and then we take one game at a time. But in practice, from what I've seen, he is always one of those guys that he comes every day on time. He works out hard. There are times when he call or text me to get extra work in before practice or after practice. We watch individual film together. So he's a joy to coach, and I enjoy having him in my corner.
head coach, you're a Michigan guy, you're representing your university. I just talked to your two guys, what great guys. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Great guys. But what's it like for you? I mean, you came back home a couple of years ago. I mean, this is home to you. I mean, you take extra pride in the program, but I mean, how cool is that for you to kind of be living your dream to be the coach?
Yeah, you said it. I am living my dream. And so when you live a dream of, and I never, and let's start with this first. I never dreamt that I would be the head coach at the University of Michigan. I was one of those guys that said I would never coach. And look at me now, right? But then, walking into my office and just seeing like, wow, this is really real. Like, pinch me. Like, don't wake me up, because I'm loving what I'm doing. And when you love something, you're gonna pour a lot of passion into it. And I think I've shown that, and I think my players, along with my staff, sees it and they trust it.
Juwan, I'd like to ask about
You're welcome.
Can I get a good smile? Good smile. Thanks, Coach.
You're welcome.
I can't say I've heard your thoughts on name, image.
I don't.
He interrupted me with the photo there. If you don't mind.
When this opportunity came up, either after the phone to get a job?
I would say this. That summer, I heard rumblings that there was a possibility they would call and want to talk and see if I had interest. And I remember Desmond Howard reaching out to me and asking me if I had interest, and I said, yeah, I have interest, of course. I mean, Michigan is Michigan, and it holds a special place in my heart. But I've been watching the program for many years and seen the success that Coach Beeline has had with the program, and love that block M like it's no other. So I will definitely listen. And then I get another call from Terry Mills, and he asked me if I had interest. And I'm like, shared the same story with him. But then for it to happen, I was like, oh, wow, this is real now. And so it really came to fruition, and I'm excited, and I'm still, that excitement hasn't left me, even though I'm going into my third year. Some would say, because early, let's see what you look like, 10 years from now.
Thanks, Juwan. I can't say I've heard your thoughts on name, image, and likeness yet. So
Right.
I'd like to, especially since you and your college teammates at the time could have been a group that really benefited from it. You couldn't. Now, what are your thoughts that the players can?
Oh, actually, I'm happy for the players. I support the players getting the opportunity to capitalize on name, image, and likeness. It's their brand, and today's market, you have to evolve, and with social media, with how that it's a lot different from when I was in college. A lot of players are doing fun. They've been able to express themselves, I would say, in a lot of different ways, whether it's on TikTok or whether it's their IG or Twitter, and I don't see anything wrong with that, because it's all about how we can help them become the best version of themselves. As a student athlete, before name, image, and likeness existed, as a student athlete, helping them become their own CEO, whether they make it to the NBA or not. Okay, what we have planned for those who go on and not going to play basketball. I've always was about, let's bring the Michigan alums and meet our players, and so they can, when they finish and they get their degree and graduate, they can walk out of here with a job. And so now you have an opportunity with the name, image, likeness for alums to get an opportunity to work with you, and what they do corporately, and how the personality of that student athlete, how they can bring those two together, and that's a beautiful way of seeing how a student athlete can expand on it. Financially, I think we got to continue to keep educating our student athletes on their responsibilities that comes when there's fees are being paid. Let's introduce them to FICA. let's also introduce them to paying taxes. Let's educate them, knowing that when they sign their name on a contract, before you put your name on it, read it. Let's educate them on letting them know what type of rights that they are giving up and what type of partnership that they are forming with their brand and with their company's brand. That's what I'm more encouraged, and we'll continue to encourage our student athletes to really think this thing through, be very diligent and patient, and not feel like they got to go out there and run to get the money. Let's make sure that whatever comes with that money, that we know exactly what the responsibilities are before it hits your bank account.
Juwan, did you know the track record of NBA guys coming to college when you took the job, that most had not been successful, and what has allowed you to be successful so far? What do you think has been the biggest reason you kind of haven't fallen in line with a lot of the former NBA guys with a lot of money that maybe haven't wanted to recruit like you have and get after it?
Well, I've heard some of the stories of guys that came from the NBA and didn't have the success that they probably wanted to, looking forward to. But I've learned a lot from some of the mistakes that they made, and they have taught me throughout the process on how, really, if you really want to, coach and you really say you want to get into the college game and be a head coach, that it's more than just the X's and O's. And if you're not willing to embrace the other stuff, then this is not the best place for you. I think you may need to find a new profession. And I've always had that mindset of I'm not going to, ever since I was younger, I'm not going to let anyone outwork me. And I'm also all about not the fixed mindset, because I've had early success, that there's not room for growth. There's always room for growth on how I'm wired. And I still, to this day, call, set up meetings, read books on where I can improve. And
You like the recruiting though, Juwan. You like the recruiting?
oh yeah,
You do.
Yeah, I like the recruiting.
A lot of guys
yeah.
who came over, like, they don't want to be on the phone all night. They don't understand. Like, when you went home in the NBA, you went home. Nobody called you.
True.
Right?
Yeah. The phone has become my best friend. But I still make sure I make time for my wife.
Good move.
Yes.
Thanks,
To
man.
follow up,
Yes,
your
you're
staff,
welcome.
how important is your staff, and especially Phil Martelli? And do you have a good Phil Martelli story?
Good Phil Martelli story. Well, first let me start with, I have a great staff, and it starts with Coach Sadie Washington, Howard Isley, and Phil Martelli. And then I have a great support staff. Jay Smith, Chris Hunter, Jerron Simmons, Lisa Nicholson. And we all collectively are all about, being selfless. We're all about growth mindset. We're also about how can we do our best to help serve these young athletes and teaching them and growing them. When it comes to a Coach Phil Martelli story, he's one of the best storytellers there is. And I just enjoy just sitting down and just listening to his stories, because it's always going to be funny. But I can't really give you, well, I'll give you one story, yeah. One of the stories I recall is, now we're trying to figure out if we're going to go back to suits and shirt and tie on the bench. Last season was more of a casual look, a sporty casual with polo, sneakers, and I was just telling Coach about the retros. I said, Coach Roy Williams used to wear all these nice Jordans, and he had the best shoe game as far as an older statesman I'm speaking of like head coach. I said, Coach, my goal is to let you throw Roy Williams off his throne and you become that coach with the best shoe game. He looked at me. I don't give a shit about him. About any of these retros. What is retros? That's my Phil Martelli story. He's a coach is, the coach has like that. He has a nice suit collection. He also has Jay Wright's Taylor, I think, is in his back pocket. Being a Philly guy.
Coach, what do you think about EJ Liddell's game for Ohio State?
Wow. Wow. He's a super talented young man. He's today's game. He can play inside, outside. He's athletic. He's very skilled. Can shoot the ball. And, looking at my first year in 2019, when I was coached against him, and he was coming off the bench playing behind the young man. I forget his name. It's gonna come to me later, but he was coming off the bench at the time. He's more of like that third big for them, and he had a smaller role, but he never shown he can shoot the ball from the outside. He's more of that the dominant force in the middle. Try to be more physical than you, but then the next season, that other player that was playing before him went on, and now he's playing on the NBA level. And Liddell just came in, and his game just went to another level. He showed he can do more than just playing the inside, and he also can put the ball on the floor too. So I'm a fan of his game. I think his ceiling, he hasn't reached his full potential. He's going to get better and better.
Coach, Franz was such a versatile guy for you last year, and I know you have a very strong recruiting class coming in, but how do you compensate for that, considering, the different things he can do on the floor?
Oh, I didn't hear the first part.
Franz Wagner, losing him, just compensating for his versatility.
Yeah, we lose a lot when you lose a guy like Franz. And Franz, being a 6'10" guy that plays extremely well on the perimeter, can shoot it from the outside. He also just catches on things quickly. He was like far older than what his age displayed on how he approached the game. Like everything was more like a very mature, pro-like, hard worker, and then he became a leader his sophomore year because I challenged him because of how hard he works and how smart he is as a player, that his teammates need to hear his voice more. And then I challenged him to become a two-way player, and he embraced it. And in the draft, if you heard any of the draft experts say, here's a guy that is a two-way player that plays defense. And back then, when I first came in the NBA, you never heard of. It was very rare. I would say you never. It was very rare when you hear a guy that comes from Europe that can play defense. And Franz has displayed and accepted being that two-way player, and that's why, one of his whys, not one of his whys, on why he was drafted as a lottery pick. But we're going to miss him.
Juwan, in addition to your ability to work with big men, how valuable is it for a freshman like Musa to have somebody like Hunter, that he can look up to as well?
Yeah, it's very valuable for both. But it's great that Musa, being a guy that wants to get better, love asking questions, and want to be able to make the transition where he can help the team, it's great to be able to have a guy like Hunter who can bounce off a lot of questions, get the answers on Hunter's experience as a freshman playing in college basketball and also in the Big Ten Conference. And then also competing against one another in practice too. You only get better that way. And Musa he's a guy that his mouth get watery for more and more knowledge, more and more. He wants it. And a guy like that you want. As a coach, you enjoy that. A guy always wants to ask questions to see how they can improve.
Juwan, so After last year's Elite Eight tournament exit and Big Ten regular season championship, what are your goals and expectations for this year's team?
Goal is always be one of the most competitive teams, in college basketball. Goal is always to win the Big Ten conference play, win the Big Ten conference, and also to win the NCAA championship. That goal will never ever stop here as while I'm the coach here at the University of Michigan. Last year was last year. It was a good, way to learn and see where you can grow as a coach and also as a team. But we're going to try to do whatever we can to help try to accomplish those goals.
How would you describe Brad Underwood's push to the top of the Big Ten, and what will those games mean to you this year?
How do you describe? Excuse me. Can you clarify?
How have you seen Brad take his boys to the next level at the top of the Big Ten? What will those games mean to you this year?
Well, Coach is a great coach. And our league has some amazing coaches, but Coach has proven over the years where he's been from before, prior to arriving to Illinois, and now how he's taking that program. And he's one of the guys in our conference from 1 through 13 that makes me lose sleep at night because I'm trying to figure out a way of how we can get our team ready for their team to compete. This year, I can't predict what this year is going to be like. I just know it's going to be a very competitive year like it's always been the last 2 years since I've been a part of Big Ten basketball.
Juwan, you've talked a couple times about recruiting and this transition from the NCAA to getting used to recruiting. It seems like the sales pitch, selling Michigan, selling yourself, that seems like it comes natural. Like that's the part that's easy. What are the parts that are less natural, that are more difficult, that take more getting used to as far as recruiting is concerned when you're used to being in the NBA?
Well, in the NBA, you don't have to recruit. No, they come to you. But in college, obviously you got to sell your program. You got to sell you. You got to sell your vision. At the end of the day, I embrace all of it. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't. I can always go back home and relax, and I can enjoy my kids and watch them grow. I love my family. So, but I love being able to help grow these young men, and it's beautiful. It's a gift that I've embraced.
But I guess what are the parts that you have to learn about it? That you like when you come from the NBA to college? Like again, you seem like it's easier for you to sell Michigan because you believe in it. It's easy for you to sell yourself as a coach. What are just the parts of the minuscule kind of minutia pieces of recruiting that you can't prepare for until you actually get to college and start doing it?
I don't know. Nobody trapped me in on one of those questions.
Juwan, can you talk about each freshman and what you've seen from them in the first couple of practices and maybe some workouts you're able to see over the summer?
Well, what I've been able to see is young guys really embrace want to grow and learn. No one has came in with an attitude or that type of cockiness that they know everything. They've also accepted coaching from their teammates, the upperclassmen who's been with the program for years. I've always looked at whichever guy that's going to be a part of our team. Character has to be the number one quality that really matters to me and matters to the culture. And so each and every one of these young guys, including Devontae Jones, are all high character guys that locker room, that each and every guy walks in that locker room enjoy being around.
Juwan, Connor has said that he wants to become more of a perimeter threat this year. How have you helped him improve that aspect of his game, and how would you assess his progress?
We always work on every part of the game, and I did this until this past summer. It's been like that since the time he touched campus. So I'm going to always help Hunter become that inside, outside threat, not just on the offensive end, but on the defensive end too.
Can you talk about Eli Brooks and sort of what your conversations were like that led to his return?
Eli Brooks? Wow. I mean, he said he's coming back, and I said, okay. It wasn't a sell pitch or anything like that. He decided that he wants to enjoy his last year in some type of little normalcy. he earned it and deserves it. But it says a lot about how much he's been around and enjoyed our coaching staff and the culture at Michigan. He wasn't one of the guys that was running out of the door. He had an opportunity to not take the extra year, but he chose that was the best for him, and I respect his decision, and I will continue to pour a lot of energy and effort in helping him wherever he wants to do in life when his years of Michigan is done and finished as a student athlete.
Juwan, considering all the moving around that Musa has done, coming from Paris and at 4 different high schools and now looking at college, how is he handling, I guess he comes to here in the summer, just college adjustment, being on his own and all this?
Yeah, that's a great question. Musa has done a phenomenal job in adjusting to the college life in Ann Arbor. And I think a part of it has to deal with the fact that he's so mature and he's also embraced the culture. He hasn't fought or shown any resistance at all. And for me, moving on and transitioning to a different country and a different level of education, his transition has been smooth as it comes because he has accepted and he has asked for, and he's not afraid to ask for help. And I've always talked to our student athletes about it's bravery when you display that and ask for help, and don't be afraid to ask for help. I always encourage it, and I think that's what as a coach and as a father, our young people need to know that they are empowered to use their voice. And with Musa, like in practice, he never minds stopping practice and oh wait, what did you say here, or ask a question about a position or about a play set or a defensive teaching moment. And I always told our guys, I said, hey, wherever question that you ask, first is not a dumb question, but secondly, ask. We will spend all day in practice until you get it. And for the guys that already know it, don't take it as being like, okay, we're gonna be here forever. But you have to commend these young men for wanting to pick it up and embrace that, embrace it. And with Musa, like with different high schools, and to stay at IMG during when COVID first broke, and everyone was going back home to their families, and the airport closed down, and you couldn't fly out to Europe. He stayed at IMG, and he worked out twice a day with coaches and ate meals there on campus. My heart was, if it wasn't for NCAA rules, I would have drove to IMG, and I picked up Jet. I was gonna pick up Musa and take him with me too. It's like, because I just care for the kid. I don't look at like the recruiting or how I can win him because of I want to impress him. Here's someone who is far away from home. And I commend IMG for really looking out for his health and safety. They did an amazing job.
Juwan, back when you were and things like that, are you focused on? Do you want him just worrying about learning one position, or are you trying to teach him the 4 and the 5 and things like that?
Yeah, he's gonna play multiple positions for us. So I'll just put it out there. He may end up playing a little point forward. Who knows? He's capable of doing it. But he definitely can guard 1 through 5. But offensively, he's going to play multiple positions because his game has displayed that he's very versatile.
John, thinking back here, I'm going to ramble a bit. I was in the building in Lexington when the Fab Five beat Ohio State.
Yes.
I think about the stir that you guys created and how much of a sensation that was. And then fast forward to seeing interviews with Jalen going off about how they'd see your jerseys in the stores and not making any money off of it, and how it left a bitter taste in your mouth. I'm wondering, did the Fab Five in some way plant the seeds for NIL, and are you surprised the change took so long to happen?
No, Fab Five did not plant the seed for NIL. But I will say this, that it's about time that it's happened for our student athletes, and I just hope that with the new NIL that it's not taken advantage of. We're not, and people are not taking advantage of our young men and women.
Thank you.
You got a growing rivalry with Illinois. What's that rivalry like on?
I didn't know we had a growing rivalry with Illinois. I thought we had a growing rivalry with every Big Ten team in the conference.
What's it like to face not against Brad Underwood in the Fighting Illini, and what makes it difficult to play against them?
But where'd you get we have a rivalry with them?
Just, two programs that have had a lot of success in the last couple of years, and a lot of animosity between the two programs concerning what
Where do you get
happened
the animosity from?
The Big Ten championship kind of stuff that happened there.
Michigan didn't print anything or say anything. But overall, I would say this, man, that it's great that the Big Ten Conference is a very competitive conference.
Juwan, real quick question from you. Hunter showed so much progress last year during the season. What are some things that you wanted him to work on between now and this season, and has he accomplished that?
Well, he's working on all facets of his game, and we will continue as the season progresses. Right now, we just take one practice at a time. I love what I see in the person because he's always about the growth mindset. He knows that there's a lot of areas in his game that he needs to work on, and he's willing to do it. And he's a joy to coach.
All right. Follow up the answer to your question about the Illinois rivalry. Across the way, Eli and Hunter were having fun with it, especially Hunter, whose perception is much different from yours and much different from Eli's. So he sees it as last year and the great Illinois rivalry. Is that something that you embrace? Would you rather keep them evenly focused on each team as it comes?
I embrace all 13 teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see the rivalry in all 13.
Thank you.
Yep.